Live from the what can I say it? Redneck backwoods of Nashville, Tennessee. It's the Podunk Polymath Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the sentiments of a secular, sarcastic, screwed up Southern SJW and skeptic. I'm your host, Chris. Come on in when I can speak properly, which will be never because I'm Southern. Welcome to episode 82 of the Triple Po. Hope y'all doing well today. I got my guest on already. I'll just jump right in, but I did want to mention that, first of all, that I got a patron gone but back, the creator, Kim Perkins. She apparently something went wrong with her Patreon and they were charging her a membership fee or some shit. I don't know what the fuck was going on with that, but she got it fixed, so she's back. So welcome back, Kim. Anyway, I want to jump right into it. I have a very special guest tonight that I just met fairly recently, because he begged me to have me. He was crying, his knees crying, and I was like, fine. Anyway, seriously, I got Tony from Conversations with God podcast. How's it going, Tony?
Yeah, good day. Yeah, very good, Chris. How are you?
Doing well, relatively.
Thanks for finally giving in to all of my requests to come onto the show. It's been, it's been hard work, but I've finally got there. It's an amazing day for me.
Yeah, it's good to have goals. Sometimes you try to fight for your goals, and sometimes you make it,
Yep.
sometimes you don't. But perseverance is important, I think. Really.
Exactly right. Yeah, I'm from a sales background, so just having that tenacity to keep on asking, and then just to get it was probably one of the biggest days I've had this week.
All right. All right, Tony. So seriously though, because nobody watches this anyway, why don't you tell everybody a bit about your podcast?
Just a fortnightly podcast, although sometimes it isn't fortnightly, but I just like saying fortnightly. It's like a 20-minute podcast where I just have a chat to the creator of the universe, and his name's God. And basically we discuss cooking, philosophy, views. We have guests on. We've had Arnold Schwarzenegger on the show in Philosophy Corner. We've had Dolly Parton on, and we really get through the nitty gritty. And the listeners, I really want the listeners to send their questions in. So there's a part called questions from listeners to the show can hold God to account, ask them which accountant they should use, whether they should shave their head or not. Really hold him to task and ask him some serious questions. And we have a lot of fun. Yeah, Conversations with God podcast. It's awful, to be honest.
Well, I started listening, and you're not that far in. How many episodes you got in right now?
23, and I'll be recording 24 today.
Oh, so you good. Okay.
Yeah,
you're a little bit further than I thought. Yeah. So I've listened, and of course,
but by that,
go ahead.
It's an experience.
Do what? Oh yeah, no. I've listened to your show a couple of times. It's obvious that you put a lot of work into it. I mean, God's antics notwithstanding, and him always trying to fucking trying to throw you off course, you seem to still manage it. Of course, that's what God does: fuck around with humanity on a regular basis. So that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
No, but it's well done. It's funny, obviously, and it's a satire. It's typical satire. It still points out the absurdity of people worshiping a fucking magical sky daddy without being overly, overly atheisty, I guess you could say. Because there's other stuff going on.
Yeah, I suppose one of the big things about it is I just want people to a little bit, but I don't want to ram it down their throats. I just want people just to sort of just try and think of the absurdity of the whole thing, really. We said that we worshipped I don't know, dragons. Like everyone would just say, well, you're a madman, dragons don't exist. But God seems to have this caveat where everybody else, it's okay to believe that. No one thinks that's strange. You know, but it is when you look at it from the other way. It's very strange. So I suppose what I want to do is just get people to and have a bit of a laugh on the way about how daft the idea something that no one's ever seen exists, and it rules their sex life, what they eat, what fabrics they wear. It just, but he's not that worried about slavery. Do you know? It's just all these inconsistencies. I just want people to sort of just, even if it gives somebody just a little element of doubt about why they believe in it, then happy days.
Yeah. Yeah, you nailed it. You can tell that's the way you're coming at it too. And like I said, it's not like it doesn't bash you over the head. It's kind of one of those things where it's you people learn stuff through humor a lot of times they wouldn't pick up in other ways. I feel like if a Christian, well, I was a Christian, somebody who was more like on the fence were to listen to your show, they'd be laughing the whole time and like, wait a minute, he's got some good points, you know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like you can a lot of times you can get to people through comedy, which you not necessarily get through like just being telling them that they're a fucking idiot, which always
Yeah.
works
Never
really
never
well.
works.
Yeah, that's shit does not work.
Or down even more, where you just sort of, you go into your corner. I've had discussions with religious people before, and that way doesn't work. It's just, it's.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a great show. I enjoy listening to it, and
Thank
I
you. Thank you.
became a patron. I don't know if I'm going to get the promised hand job. It's kind of far to do a hand job all the way out from Australia, but maybe I'll get a virtual hand
Yeah,
job.
well, I mean, it might not be me, but yeah, it's a big,
You can farm it out. Yeah, you can like get a
yeah,
proxy.
I can do it virtually.
Yeah, get an American proxy or something to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So interesting talking to you guys in America. There's quite a bit going on, isn't there, over there at the moment? It's interesting watching from afar.
Yeah. Uh, so unless you've been living under a rock, uh, everybody's favorite rapist, Brett Kavanaugh, just got nominated to the Supreme Court 50-48, which nobody's really surprised. I didn't really think it was going to go any other way. There was a couple of votes that might have swung it, but these Republicans, just lost their spine apparently.
It's a bit of an
And
old man's club.
yeah, well, the swing votes that could have swung it the other direction were women. So, um, and that's just disappointing is not really the right word. So, now of course there's a couple of issues with this. First of all, before any of these allegations came up of him being basically a disgusting rapist type, or sexual assault, you know, provider or something. Before that happened, of course, he was just a shitty guy. He was just like obviously pretty. He was a guy who was going to come on the end. He was basically he's going to overturn Roe versus Wade or whatever. So that was he's a partisan right wing guy before any of this even happened. And then now this has happened. Everybody's like, wow, this guy's just a fucking piece of shit. He's going around drinking like a fool and raping women and thinking it's cool. I mean, it's typical frat boy mentality. I don't know.
Mm.
So it's pretty disgusting. It's basically and like you said, it's an old men's club, and they don't care. Is what it boils down to. I mean, they may not have believed her, but they just don't give a fuck. So, I mean, what do you get? It's pretty low day in American history. Well, one of many in the last couple of years.
So it's just to be clear, it's early. It's pretty early-ish in the morning here. So I obviously haven't seen that news. What does that? And I do live under a rock. What does that 48-50 exactly mean? I know he's won, but did that mean now he's on the
Yeah, he's on the Supreme. Well, he has to be sworn in, but yeah, he's
yeah?
on. There
Wow.
was a couple other votes, but this was the final vote, and it
Yeah.
was party lines. So yeah, he gets to go on the Supreme Court, make it a pretty solid 5-4 conservative majority. And like I said, the biggest thing is people think, well, that's it. Roe versus Wade is going to get overturned, which is what makes abortion legal in the country. Now, to be clear, I mean, this is a bit of a caveat, but not much of one. It would kick it back to the states if Roe versus Wade was overturned, which means the states could regulate themselves, which means I live in the South. You can forget about abortion in the South.
Yeah.
They would fucking just out and out fucking outlaw it without,
wow,
it would be gone.
Supposed to be making progress on the planet.
Oh, the South doesn't ever want to make progress. There is never progress here. I don't know. It's like they don't learn. Oh, well, they don't want to learn. It's all this Jesus. And this is the kind of stuff you want to worry about Jesus stuff, like we talk about atheism. This is the place where real atheists are born, okay? Because we see it, and we see the kind of damage religion has on humanity, quite honestly. And we see it in real time. And I'm a white guy, obviously, so it's not going to affect me because I can't have kids, But I mean, it's going to affect women, obviously. Shit. It's just good. And on top of that, we have fucking abstinence only education, which means they don't bother to tell anybody that where babies come from. Just don't have sex. Basically, it's like, don't have sex until you're married. Don't worry about the rest of it.
Yeah, just fight off millions of years of evolution. Just hold all that back.
That's gonna work. Yeah, that's fine. It's totally fine.
It's just that I didn't realize that. I mean, that's amazing. The facts are the facts. Okay. Incredible.
Well, and that's just not that. Obviously, there's other conservative issues that they've been salivating to get through since the 80s, really. Since Reagan was elected in 80. They've been trying to get shit like this done for, 40 years? Has it been that? 30 years? 35? Whatever. This is what they've been praying for. Well, praying for the whole time. And they got it under Trump. And it's not just Trump, of course. It's this whole... it's just old white boys club. And I can't wait for them to die, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it certainly is very interesting watching from afar and make light of the situation. But it's just an amazing. It's like a car crash in slow motion. It's amazing, and it just seems that everybody, or the majority of the people, feel the same way. But 50% of the people obviously don't feel that way and don't say much about it. But yeah, it's strange times we're living in. I've never witnessed anything as strange as this in America. It's bizarre.
It really is. I mean, now as I said, in the South, of course, we're 100 years behind anyway, or something. So like, I'm used to like just always knowing that people are shit, basically, or that people are ignorant. And apparently, they say they like Jesus, but they hate poor people. I don't know how that works exactly. Because they want to keep people.
I'm certain 99% of religious people haven't read the Bible.
Yeah, exactly.
If they did, man, like conversion tool, that is the biggest deconversion tool in my opinion. But then people read it, and a lot of people, well, most people don't read, and a lot of people would read it and not understand a lot of it.
I wonder why. Because the shit makes no fucking sense half the time. I mean, oh yeah, let me totally.
It's funny.
Go ahead.
Sorry, there's a bit of a delay. In episode 23, I was chatting to God about slavery, and I was like, "Well, can you do an update or something?" You know what I mean? Like, well, just let us know if it's real. Update the shit, because, like you say, it's just this book 1,000 years ago that makes no sense, and people are making laws about abortion because of it. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. You look at all the Scandinavian countries where there's virtually zero religion, and they're the safest, some of the most civilized. They've got all these laws sorted out. And then we look at America, and it's just led by this drive of Bible bashers. It's just, yeah, not good.
No, I mean, and again, America's weird. It's pretty much split now. It's there used to be
Mm,
some middle ground. I don't know that there is much of one anymore. I mean, it's either you're one. Now, of course, in states like California, which practically is its own fucking country at this point, they're more blue. They're way more progressive than the rest of the nation. Of course,
mm,
there's Massachusetts, the coastal areas, what they call the left coasts. All the the all the Republicans call the coastal elites or whatever, which I
mm.
guess means that you think for yourself and don't listen to politicians telling you anything that you want to hear or whatever. Which I guess that's all politicians, but that's notwithstanding that. I mean, I don't. It's just I don't know. It's hard to swallow right now. I mean, I know in Australia, I haven't heard much about Australia lately. Are y'all? I think you still have a conservative government.
Yeah, to be honest, nothing much happens here politics-wise. Well, I say that a few weeks ago, the Prime Minister changed. There was a lack of support for the current one, so a new one got voted in. And everyone was like absolutely up in arms about that. And, we didn't vote this guy in, we didn't vote Scott Morrison in, and everyone was going crazy about that. And I'm like, this is actually brilliant. This shows that, this sort of democracy works and no one's getting hurt or beheaded or shot. Like, we can do this and it's a nice peaceful transition. That's democracy. But people get upset about it. And that's really a blip on the radar. I mean, this is Australia. There's 25 million people. It's just a fantastic place to live. Very quiet. Hello, cat.
Yes, the cat has just
The cat's come in. Very good.
joined me. This is Circe, named after the woman who killed sailors in the Odyssey. So,
Well, there you go.
and also, Circe is the queen in Game of Thrones. If you watch that, and she's pretty badass.
Okay, it's a kitten, isn't it? How old?
How old are you? Very old.
Okay.
6 months.
Yeah.
6 months. I
Cool.
had to ask her. She
Yeah.
didn't talk much for some reason. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't trained her yet. She's going to be in a circus, I think.
Or in multiple YouTube videos.
Yeah, multiple. Oh, yeah, that's how you get. See, what I'm gonna start doing, it's gonna be like alt-right guys with cats. So that's two of the best things on YouTube, or like Jordan
Cat videos.
Peterson. Yeah, Jordan Peterson and cats. So that's what I'm thinking about doing.
Yeah, he's pretty popular, isn't he, on the internet? I have to say, like every time you open YouTube, there's always like something about him knocking around.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. He's a really fun guy. He likes to cater to lonely angry white guys, young angry.
Well, there's a lot of them about. It's a big audience. We had him on episode 18 in Philosophy Corner. Well, I actually thought it was him, but then God pointed out it's actually Kermit, and they do actually sound very similar.
Yeah,
but they share the same publicist, so he must have got them mixed up that day. But yeah, it's nice having Kermit on. That was fun.
Why don't you tell me some of the people you've had on and some of the highlights of your show that you think are kind of the best?
Okay. Probably my favourite guest was Dolly Parton. She came on in Philosophy Corner. In 22, we had Jean-Luc Picard on. He was fantastic. He really opened up. Probably favourite part. It's all a bit of it was quite hard work, to be honest. Working with God, he's very stroppy. But yeah, probably my favourite part was when in episode 22 we decided to try and play chess. That was an absolute disaster. God thinks it's a racist game because you have to choose which colour you are. He doesn't get the fact that you have to determine who sides who. We're going to try again in a future episode to play again, but I'm not sure how it's going to go.
Yeah, God is pretty. He's an interesting guy, but he just is. He's hard to pin down. It seems like.
He is. Yeah, yeah. We've had celebrity swearing chef bully Gordon Ramsay on as well. I don't know if you heard that.
He's a hell of a guy. I gotta tell you.
Yeah. He's kind of popular in America. It's funny watching him basically get paid to go into restaurants and
Yell at
call
people.
and swear at people. It's
Yeah.
brilliant. It's a really good concept.
I don't watch it. I only ever see him in the memes.
Yeah.
Um, what was one?
Was it?
Go ahead.
We were in Las Vegas recently, and we went to his Hell's Kitchen restaurant outside of Caesar's Palace. It was nice.
You were in
It was good.
Vegas.
Yeah, I love Vegas, man.
Oh, you must see. People have money in Australia. I guess I don't. I don't know what that is. Uh,
Okay. So
yeah. In other countries, apparently you get to take vacations and things and have like decent minimum wages. Here we don't. We're just slave labor pretty much.
that's actually an interesting point because I've got a little bit of family in the US, and yeah, you don't get a lot of annual leave. I mean, we get actually at the moment in my current role, I get 32 days a year off, excluding bank holidays.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Australia's a great country, man. Seriously. So yeah.
Yeah. I lived in Europe for a hot minute, like a year. I lived in Germany.
Okay.
Now it was just because my dad was in the military, but I saw the kind of stuff they go home whenever the fuck they. I mean, it's shut
Yeah.
down after like 5 o'clock. You can just forget about
Oh
it.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that was back.
Absolutely.
What? How old am I? Fuck, it's been 20 years ago, but I'm sure it hadn't changed that much. I mean, where like, and I would go because I worked on base or post or whatever, and I would take the streetcar to work, the Strasse to work sometimes, and I wouldn't know it was a German holiday until I got there. I'm like, oh look, it's another fucking German holiday. Wow,
Yeah.
and it's like the middle of the fucking week. I'm like, why is there a holiday? I don't know. Who fucking knows? It's time to have fun day. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Some saint, who knows? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just ridiculous. I mean, and of course, capitalism is trying to fuck everything up like we always do. Capitalism's like a fucking virus anyway. It's like, well, it's herpes, basically. You can't get rid of it. So, but anyway, you were in Vegas, and I did want to ask you and I hope you're not too offended by this question, but the only reason I ask this is because you have such interesting phrases that you use. Like
Okay.
fortnightly. Okay, fortnight, which I know because I read The Lord of the Rings. But a lot of people might not know what a fortnight is. It's 2 weeks, right? Or
Yep.
so it's stroppy, which is an interesting cracking. I've heard you. So where are you from originally, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I was born in England.
What? I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, yeah. No, people don't. And then yeah, I moved to Australia about 11 years ago.
Oh,
Um,
so you're just a recent. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Well, I've spent a quarter of my life here now. Um, it's nice, nice. Look, sun's shining. It's beautiful. It's great. It's a
Yeah.
good country. Lots of strange animals, lots of snakes and spiders.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Things kill you there. I forgot about that.
yeah, stuff kills you. Yeah, in the water and on the land. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have redbacks here, redback spiders, which are I think they're linked to the black widow or in the black widow family. They're kind of all around the house. Seen them in the garden.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And kangaroos. Yeah, all sorts of stuff.
Where do you live in Australia?
I live in Queensland, which is sort of the hot bit, top right hand part of it.
Yeah, that's where a lot of people like. I
Beaches.
listened a couple of Australian podcasts for a while, and I think they were
Okay.
in Queensland. The Gold Coast, is that what it's called? Some part of it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Um, I forget where they were from exactly.
Yeah. The Gold Coast. That's like the that's like the Las Vegas of Australia. So
Oh well, there you go. Yeah.
that's where everyone goes to get drunk and go to strip bars. But it's also like got some of the best beaches in the world. It's a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah, so I've always wanted to go someday. I will probably never get there. Although, I also want to go back to Germany just because I like no sun and bland food. So, that's fun.
I don't end up in prison.
Yosh. Yeah, really. So let's kind of mosey on back a little bit to, I guess, uh, some politics, I suppose, since we can't really avoid it. Uh, do you pay attention a lot to U.S. politics, or is it just kind of one of those things like, well, let me see what's going on in the crazy U.S. right now?
Uh, I don't really pay attention a lot. However, I don't think you can miss it. You know, if you have a device or watch a television, you're going to see Donald Trump on there at some point every day. But what's really interesting is you never really saw Barack Obama really, unless there was some sort of big announcement. But yeah, it's always the headline news, isn't it? Especially with what's happening at the moment with that guy being voted in. Yeah, I don't know what God's thinking at the moment. He's having a shocker.
Well, technically, he didn't get the popular vote, which is interesting. The last couple, when other than Barack Obama, got Republicans that were elected did not get the popular vote, but they got electoral votes, which I don't know why the fuck we still have that fucking antiquated system anyway.
To be honest, I don't understand the system. Like, it seems quite convoluted to me. The whole college voting system, is that how you do it? I
Yeah,
don't know. It's just
it's the
like,
electoral college. It makes no fucking sense.
yeah.
It's just
But they're never going to update it, are they? It's like if they haven't done anything after this recent election, then they're never going to do anything.
no, you're not going to get rid of it anytime soon. I don't know what it's going to take. I mean, especially as the country gets increasingly non-white, the Republicans are going to hang out onto anything that's going to give them an advantage.
Mm.
And I think the electoral college was definitely giving them an advantage. So if they going by the popular vote, they'd have lost like the last couple of times. So yeah, they're not going to get rid of that. And that's another thing we talk about the Supreme Court. It's not just abortion; it's a lot of right, like voter suppression has been a huge thing. Of course, they don't call it that, but these kind of ways to make sure that it's dog whistling. Well, it's not barely dog whistling anymore. It's trying to make it where it's more difficult for non-white people to vote.
Right.
Basically, like gerrymandering districts. Making it, of course, in the name of voter fraud, which of course is complete bullshit. Having everybody show their IDs, and making it where there's no early voting. Only certain times, which of course targets is a target to people who are poor, who can't go out and vote whenever they want. They don't have cars. Some older people don't have IDs, or can't afford to get IDs because a lot of people don't drive. I mean, it's kind of hard to drive when you can't afford a fucking car, you
Mm.
know. So there's a lot of obstacles they put in the way to keep people from voting. So I mean, in Australia, I know you fucking elite. You have to fucking vote, don't you? It's
Yeah, yeah,
mandatory
you
voting.
have to vote and you have to drive because everything's so far away. Um, but yeah, like, yeah, you have to vote. It's really interesting. I've thought about it a lot. Technically, is it a democracy if you have to vote? Because surely the whole fundamental thing of democracy is you have a choice. But no, we don't have a choice. We get fined $15 if we don't vote, I think.
Oh well, I mean, still, but
Yeah.
you're right.
The
Is it a
pro-
democracy if you're forced to do it? I mean, it's not.
well, I suppose it is. Look, there's two ways of looking at it. It's everyone's accountable for the decision they make, so nobody can complain, but they still do. But on the flip side, you get a lot of uninformed people forced to make a decision over something they don't understand. So, if 70% don't understand who they're voting in or what they're voting in, they're just going to tick a box, and then you end up with a government that's there, by lottery, if you will. Whereas having people that actually know what's going on in politics and the ramifications of the vote do actually make a meaningful decision.
It doesn't. Look who got elected here.
That's what I mean.
It doesn't really. I mean, people are going to make ill-informed vote whether you make it. It's just the turnout's a lot lower.
Mm.
I mean, it's been pretty well. It's pretty well proven that the higher the turnout in an election, the more it favors Democrats.
Right.
So I mean, and that tells you. And of course, if you don't get out there, that means a hardcore Republican because they're sheep. I mean, the people they bring out are basically lockstep.
Hmm.
They're pretty much do what they're told. Democrats tend to be a little more independent minded, so it makes things a little more difficult as far as getting people out. But if you get Democrats out to vote, which I'm hoping that we do some good in the midterms. I mean, it's a little late now that we got fucking a rapist on the Supreme Court or whatever, but you know, we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen.
So do you think your life would be better if your day-to-day life would be better if you just didn't look at any of this? If
uh,
you just
oh yeah, I don't think there's any question that. The
yeah.
problem is I have like this thing where I care about people.
Hmm.
It's a pain in the ass, really. I actually give a fuck whether minorities or affected populations are.
What brought you to um, that conclusion? How did you arrive sort of there, or has it always been your personality?
No, I think yeah, to one way or extent or another, it's always something I've been interested in, I guess. But
Hmm.
as I've gotten older, I paid a little more attention. I didn't have room before I was 30. I was too busy drinking all the time.
Yeah, that's it.
I wasn't really concerned too much about it. But I think it was around about the time when the Gulf War happened. Is when not the Gulf War when we invaded
The
Iraq.
Iraq War. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Iraq. That's when I started paying attention. I think a little more to shit. Like, why the fuck are we doing this again?
That I think again from afar, I think that was a big wake-up moment for a lot of people in the US. I really think that was a very questionable. Um, well, I think it was seen because usually it's everyone's just behind and great, let's go and do it. But I think that's one of the first things that, like you say, he's like, what's going on here then? Why do we need to be doing that?
Yeah, and the more you look at, I mean, these guys are war criminals. I mean, they went on under false pretenses, and they knew that it was flimsy,
Hmm.
and they basically were mad because his dad didn't finish the job on Saddam, so he wanted to finish it for him. I guess I don't know, but you see how well that worked out. Um,
Oh, yeah.
Iraq is a fucking paradise.
Hmm.
We've done well. We did good, man. We really did good.
Hearts and minds.
It hurts me. Yeah. On the outside, in the ground, after they got fucking bombed and murdered. So that's where they ended up. But yeah, you haven't heard anything much about Iraq lately. That's only probably because everything else that's going on kind of gets overwhelmed by everything else.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know, man. As I've become older. They say you become more conservative. I'm like the opposite.
Hmm.
I'm getting further left. Um,
Well, I think that's a big problem. It's one or the other, isn't it? And it's like I don't see it ever changing. That's the problem.
yeah, there seems to be a polarization here. And let me be clear that I consider myself pretty well I'm gonna say free thinker, but because that sounds kind of just cheesy. But I mean, I try to take into account like all the the stuff. Nuance is important a lot of time, all the time. Some people don't seem to realize that, and I try to weigh in on the different viewpoints. But when you have a society, especially in this country, that is so polarized that nuance doesn't seem to be something that is valued, you know. And so you have to take things as they are. And one of my I understand, like, there's arguments from the right about how the left are too, the political correct shit, and this especially
Hmm.
goes for the social justice stuff. I mean, well, why are you being so sensitive? Why are you being so politically correct or whatever? Why is it important that we call people by their proper pronouns? Stuff like that. And to me, it's just basic. When you're talking about something that's you come down to basic human rights and basically human dignity, yeah, I'm going to be polarized as fuck when it comes to that because to me that's a hard line. Okay,
Hmm.
other stuff it depends, but when you're talking about basically denying people's right to exist or that they exist in the first place. That kind of stuff is a hard no for me. I have to fucking, that's something, yeah, I'm not going to give on.
Mm.
But other things, I mean, there is room for nuance on some things. It just seems like neither side wants to.
Give any yeah.
So
So,
it's I don't know, and it doesn't help that America is like one of the the biggest. I don't know if we're a superpower anymore, to be quite honest with you. China and Russia seem to be on the waxing, as it were, right now.
yeah, I mean, China's making amazing progress because I don't know, maybe it is because it's a dictatorship, so there's never any sort of 3 year change and then the plans stop. They've just got a pathway and they're following it, and nothing's going to. I mean, the prime minister there, he's there for life now, isn't he? I think he's
He
is
is,
their
yeah.
chief, and yeah, so he's got no opposition, so he can just implement his plan for the rest of his life. Whereas that's one of the things with democracy is sometimes with all these changes every 3 to 4 years, you're just switching from one thing to another, and you kind of need to have a clear math. So yeah, you're right. I think China are going ahead at a rapid speed.
Well, I
Um,
heard, I read recently that there was some concern about Chinese influence in Australia. Apparently, there's a significant Chinese population there, and
okay,
they are trying to spread some communist ideas. I don't know how effective it is, but that's definitely because Australia is in that part of the world. I mean, of course, it's further south, but still,
yeah,
the influence would seem to be more in your immediate life would be kind of China and Russia, I suppose, since they're closer.
mm, yeah, no, for sure, for
So
sure. Well, that's the beauty of being an island. It's pretty hard to have a crack at it, but
I
yeah.
don't know that we can call you an island because your island is as big as America, just about, with the corners cut off. So
Uh,
it's a pretty big fucking island.
it's got water all the way around it, though.
Okay, well, you can say that about any land mass. I mean, it is like 80% water. But point taken, point taken. Um,
Mm. So Texas, I want to go to Texas because the food's really good, isn't it? Like ribs and steaks and stuff and barbecue.
are you doing this on purpose now? It's Tennessee,
No?
man. I done told you. Now you're just having to laugh at me or
Yeah,
whatever.
sorry, no. So Tennessee, what's the food like there?
It's funny. It's actually has some good. I mean, it's good food. If you're talking about soul food,
Yeah,
it's highly fattening, and the reason it's is what it is because people were so poor that they could only afford to eat parts of the pig that generally aren't eaten,
okay,
greens from plants. So some of it is just interesting that the food that we consider to be kind of the staple of the southern diet, it
yeah,
basically came from the fact that we were, well, especially slaves, and freed slaves. But there's also poor white people. Trust me, that those are the ones who actually fought the Civil War, not the rich ass plantation owners. So it's not just black
okay,
people, but uh, it's extremely fattening. There was a there's a study that came out basically that said water is wet. Oh, I'm sorry. Southern, like soul food is causing people to have high blood pressure, black people to have high blood pressure. Oh,
right.
really? What a surprise. You mean heavily fried food isn't good for you? I mean, come on. That's so yeah, the food is good, just don't eat a whole lot of it.
That's one
Um,
of the crazy things, isn't it? Like you can eat at a fast food restaurant for next to nothing. Just amazes me how cheap it is. And like you say, the people that don't have money, that's their staple diet, and it's just a road to bad health. It's just amazing.
oh, especially in this country. I mean, there's what they call food deserts, where like there's nowhere for somebody to get like fresh fruit and vegetables.
Right.
There's nothing, and keep again. There's poor people. The only thing they have to depend on is public transportation, and especially in the South here, we're not big on. public transportation, because that means poor people, especially poor people of color, could actually get to the walled white people communities. And they don't want that.
Mm.
They don't want those pesky black people coming to their neighborhoods, and shopping in their stores. So yeah, that's a
Wow.
problem. Yeah. Every race underlies everything here. Don't anybody telling you different, especially in the South.
Mm.
I mean, it's kind of hard to, well, can't you just get over it? Fuck you. You think they
Yeah.
couldn't get over it? They can't just stop being black. They just can't stop getting shot for no reason by cops. It's you try it and see how you
Mm.
how it works for you. But anyway, I got dark. So the food,
You
yeah.
did. You did get dark. It's all good.
Sorry, it's the South, and it's difficult for somebody who actually cares about humanity to some extent.
Hey, look, it must be very. You sound very frustrated. You know.
Living in the South is nothing but a huge frustration. Now, I will say the cities are a little better. Well, they're
Right.
a lot better. It's interesting because it's starting to the point where, like here in Tennessee, we have Nashville and Memphis, and anybody who lives outside the U.S. probably only knows them for music and Elvis
Music. Yeah. Yeah. Country music.
or something. But Nashville's actually become a pretty big city,
And
and it's
Jack Daniels.
that's in Lynchburg, which is a dry county, which makes no sense.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you can't buy alcohol there, and you can only
That's the worst place on earth. Sorry
yeah,
if you live there.
it just doesn't make any sense. Well, Tennessee, the rural South is hell on earth for the most part. It's a little bit marginally better in the cities and the surrounding counties, but like I said, the cities are pretty well what you would expect from a regular city, I guess, a cosmopolitan city, and so there are those blue spots. But
So, are you in the city, or are you kind of
I'm on the outskirts, so I'm kind of what I call the redneck backwoods. But
right?
people are starting to move out here from the city because they can't afford to live there
Yeah.
anymore. Because Nashville is rapidly gentrifying, which means rents are going way up. So they're starting to creep out here, and I have a feeling because right now it's still mostly redneck types. Um,
Okay.
but I have a feeling because they just started building another subdivision. I have a feeling it's going to become increasingly as much as I hate hipster types, and I hate them with a passion. I hate man buns. You know, um,
Man buns. Let me just make a note of that. Got to put
mm,
that in
I hate man buns.
the
They're
podcast.
they're horrible. Anyway,
I'll ask God. I'll ask God what he thinks of man buns.
oh, you don't know what a man bun is? Seriously?
I'm going to ask God what he thinks of them,
Oh,
or
well,
he might even have one in the next
oh,
episode.
well, he's got to get with the times, I guess. I mean, he can. The times with the hairstyles, apparently his greatest work can't be updated, but he's cool with man
Yeah.
buns. Makes complete sense. Um, so yeah, I'm hoping as soon as they come out here, maybe they'll come a little more liberal. But as of right now, go to your local Walmart and you'll see kind of the caliber of the people that are out here. And I do
Now,
feel. Go ahead.
sorry, you go.
No, I was just gonna say I do feel sorry for them because a lot of them they're poor and they're ignorant, and so
Mm.
some of that I can understand. And they only listen to what they're told. They don't even try though to find other points of view. So in a way, I do, but when you're fostering an atmosphere of hating black people, I'm not.
Yeah, it's just so backward.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Now,
I'm sorry.
I was going to say you mentioned Walmart, and apparently you can buy guns in Walmart in that fine country.
Not anymore, or at least
Oh,
you
really?
can buy.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's see if I got this right. So I don't know if you've seen Bowling for Columbine, which was a Michael Moore
Yeah.
documentary, and that was years
Yeah.
ago. But they stopped by selling the ammunition. Don't know, but I don't know if they still sell guns or not because I haven't seen them. Uh, they may have stopped selling guns. I
Okay.
don't remember. At least I haven't seen them out here, and if anywhere is going to sell them,
Yeah, I was going
it'd
to
be
say,
here.
well, yeah. Mm, okay.
So I'm not sure what their policy is, mostly because I don't buy guns.
Mm.
So I know in Australia it's just pretty much a gun ban after that huge massacre.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Um, whenever that back went, and that's surprising to me. I mean, you tell that to any American, they're what the fuck?
Yeah,
What
that's
the hell,
yeah,
communist
yeah.
country is that? You know, and apparently,
But we haven't
in
had
the
many shootings since then.
what? Well, it's funny how that works. Yeah. And the Onion, you know the Onion, right? The
Yeah,
satirical.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They always put out the same article every time a mass shooting happens here. Um, country says we can't do anything about it, about mass shootings, in literally the only country in the world that has this problem, or
Hmm.
something. I'm paraphrasing. So yeah, guns are another Jesus Christ. You think I don't know? They somehow think they're going to stop a government takeover uh, with their guns. I don't know how that's going to work when you government tanks and fucking fighter jets and stealth bombers, but your little fucking AK is going to kill. Okay, okay. See how that works out for you, buddy. You know, Jesus Christ, this fucking country. Ugh.
So do you ever think about not living in America anymore?
Every fucking day. Every fucking
Well,
day.
thing is, you've lived in another country, so you do actually have perspective, which is, I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Well, to be fair, when I lived there, I was only like 18, and so I was only paying attention to how much beer I could drink.
Oh, the beer is
So,
good in Germany as well.
but now some of that I still absorbed some of the other aspects. I knew, like I said, about the frequent holidays. I knew about the difficulty in getting things after like 5 o'clock,
Hmm.
and it was an inconvenience. But now that I think about it more about it, I'm like, well, you know what? That means people actually have free time. You know, they don't have to work 3 or 4 jobs to make ends meet. So, um, yeah, of course, Canada is America's big. It's now Canada's not utopia, obviously, but compared to here, it's like a northern utopia.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
so that's everywhere. From here, from the border, if I go straight north, it's 8 hours, I think, which is not far. Now, that's not the best part of Canada, but it's Canada. So
Right.
yeah, if I drove straight up 8 hours, I could get into Canada.
So can
Now,
you guys move freely in between Canada and the US? Do you have to have a visa
no,
or anything?
no, it's not like the EU, unfortunately.
Right.
Um, yeah, it used to be where you could drive straight into Canada with only your driver's license. Now they've made it where you have to have a passport to get into Canada,
Okay.
which I don't fucking blame them. Um, you know,
That's crazy Americans in.
now you can drive. If you drive, you can. There's like a little. It looks like a driver's license. It's just a card
Mm.
you can use if you're just driving, and that's a little cheaper than the passport. Which that's what I would get. But yeah, there's no free movement. That's if you're kind of speaking like the EU model. It's definitely. I wish shit. Well, if that was the case, there wouldn't be any fucking liberals. They'd already all moved to Canada. What? They'd have taken over an entire. They'd start their own province.
Hmm.
Um.
Alaska. What about Alaska?
Oh, Jesus God! Why is that?
It's close to Russia, isn't it? Alaska. You'd be a little bit worried.
Yes, you can see it. You can see it from your house. Yeah. Alaska's a weird. I don't know much about Alaska, but it's kind of more like it's red, but it's more like sort of a more of a libertarian red, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
It's not evangelical like in the South. It's more like kind of a you do your thing, I do mine thing, kind of.
Okay.
That's generally what it's like in the bigger states with fewer people, like Montana or Idaho or places like that, where there's a lot of space but not many people.
Hmm.
It's kind of the whole, I got my land. As long as you leave me the fuck alone, I'll leave you alone. Kind of the Western, the whole Western ethos, which we hang on to
Hmm.
so grasp onto so tightly in this country, even though it's a fucking myth anymore.
Hmm.
You know? But yeah, I would advise if you're going to Vegas, just keep going. Don't go anywhere else. I advise. There's not many places. Maybe you could drive to LA. Maybe sometimes.
I don't know. Like I've been to LA once, We didn't stay there. We just literally drove from San Diego to LA to get to the airport. But yeah, I've been to Vegas about 4 or 5 times now. It's great, good fun.
Yeah, doesn't seem like my cup of tea. They have a hockey team now, which makes
They
no
do,
sense.
yeah. Actually, because when we were there last, it was all about their team. There's
Yeah, they made it.
merchandise everywhere.
Yeah, they nearly made it to the fucking playoff. They nearly won the cup, the Stanley Cup, which pissed me off because that was their first fucking year, man. And the reason they got so many good people is because they were allowed to steal them from other teams. I didn't think that was fair.
Mm.
Because we have a hockey team, and we just in '98 we got our team. We didn't get that kind of shit. We didn't get those kind of picks. Anyway, bitterness.
God's fault.
Yeah, it's God's fault. Thanks a lot,
I'll have a
God.
word with him. Yeah.
I mean, we're in fucking the South. Aren't we supposed to be your
Yeah.
promised land or whatever?
The
I mean,
cradle.
I guess we're watching too much porn down here,
Mm.
which we do. We are like, no, Utah is the biggest porn connoisseur in the U.S.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Does it really surprise me though? No.
No.
It's
No, I
always the
think
most repressed
yeah.
places that want the porn the most. It's funny. The more you repress human nature, it doesn't really matter. It comes out anyway, huh? Funny how that works. It's almost
You
like
can't suppress millions of years of evolution, can you? It's just it's inherent within us.
Yeah. So what are you gonna do? I mean, you can't drink coffee or fucking beer, but apparently you can watch porn. Funny how that works. Utah's a weird state anyway. And Mormonism even stranger as far as I'm concerned. But
yeah, we had a Mormon on the Conversations with God podcast.
Oh, how'd that
Did
go?
you hear that? Yeah, Jed the Mormon. Yeah, a nice chap. By the end, he was drinking heavily. We got him on to drink. I might have him back on again. Yeah, he was good. He was confused about a few things, but I managed to persuade him that alcohol was the way forward, and he did actually. He did cracked open a Smirnoff Ice about 15 minutes into the show. Yeah, it's all he had. It's all he had in the fridge. I told him to go and get some bourbon and maybe some red wine.
Yeah, you can't there. They sell like beer that's not in. You have to. There's like apparently in each county there's like a state-run liquor store or something, and you have to go to that one. But if you get beer, it's like 3% is the highest it is in like a regular store. It's ridiculous. You'd have to drink an entire fucking 12 to get a buzz. So I'm like, no, what is wrong with this place?
Yeah, here we have liquor superstores.
Oh, we have.
Oh, it's just great. It's just like everything in there, like from all around the world. You can just buy pretty much everything, and they're everywhere.
Can you buy it on Sunday?
Yeah, you can buy it any day you want, whenever you want. It's great.
Tennessee just now made it where you could buy liquor on Sunday.
Oh, come on.
No. Yeah. And some counties won't even let you buy beer on Sunday, much less liquor. And that, like I said, they made it where you can. That doesn't mean a lot of places are doing it.
Right.
Because apparently Jesus doesn't want you drinking on Sunday. I'm not sure how that goes. Apparently, if any day, ask God about that. Why the fuck is, why can't we drink on Sundays? What the fuck's up with that shit?
Okay.
I mean, that seems like something that'd be a.
Maybe.
He got Jesus to make water into wine. So, I mean, it seems like he'd be cool with that. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
What's with Sunday? I think really is the big question.
Well, yeah. Overall, what's wrong? What's up with Sunday? I mean, I know what I read in the Bible, but I mean, it's like a game of telephone for 2,000 fucking years.
Well, you pick up the stick on Sunday, like in the Bible. That guy picked up a stick.
Oh yeah, they beat the shit out of him. Yeah.
That was deemed as work, and didn't they like bury him up to his neck and then just throw rocks at his head until he died for picking up a stick on Sunday?
I mean, if you're gonna kill somebody, can't you just like maybe just not do something so fucking barbaric? Can we not maybe just, something painless? I don't know. Maybe just bash him upside the head with a stone or something. Why is it we got to do like bury him up to his neck?
I don't know. That's what they used to do, and it was endorsed by God. Brilliant. And that, yes, and now people still read that book and think it's applicable to today's life, and that's from what I can tell, the core of a lot of the problems you guys are having.
Oh Lord, I don't know.
What are we gonna do?
I don't know. It really is to the point. Living with Trump is just such a what the fuck can happen next. Basically, is what I ask myself every day. What the fuck can happen next? Because
Yeah.
it's just so fucking bizarre. Just when you think you can't do them anything worse,
Mm.
he does something
It's
worse.
it's like everything he does is done out of spite.
No,
To
it's not. He doesn't think of other people, so it can't be of spite. In spite, it's because he's so wrapped up in himself. He's such like the ultimate narcissist. You know?
do you think he actually thought he was going to win?
No,
Yeah.
he doesn't think that far ahead. I don't think.
So
I
you think
think
it's just like a promotional campaign for his TV show?
yeah, and I think, but he didn't expect to win. But when he did win, he's like, "Well, of course I did. Duh." You
Mm.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
just like when he went over to North Korea, he didn't think that would work. Well, of course it worked. Duh, because he's so wrapped. He's such a narcissist that he thinks
Yeah.
anything he does is like magic. Like when he went up in front of the UN and they all laughed at him. Oh man, that was beautiful. But he was like, of course they did. I meant it was supposed to be a joke.
Mm.
Okay, whatever, man. See, this is the kind of mentality we have going on here.
Mm.
Just save us. Can you just can I stay there for a minute?
Yeah, mate.
That's a long ways off, but I'll swim.
It is.
I don't know. How much is a
Yeah.
flight to Australia? Shit, probably fucking ridiculously expensive.
Return flight would be about $1,000.
Yeah, that's not horrible, I guess. Hell, LA was fucking. How much was that? 500. That's just across the country.
So what do you went to LA on holiday, did you?
Yeah, I went there to visit a friend of mine.
Oh,
Well,
cool. Okay.
I was gonna go there anyway because I wanted to go check it out, but I knew somebody was staying with him. I learned mostly that there's too much goddamn sun there. I don't like that much sun.
Yeah, they get no rain, do they? It's like 3 days rain a year or something.
And it's just no clouds. It's always sunny, and it's just unnerving to me. I don't know. It's just like, goddamn, I'm a vampire. Stop. Maybe it was just because I was out in it so much. Because of course I'm touristing, so I have to go do the touristy thing.
Mm.
And there's a lot of traffic. I'll tell you that
Yeah.
much. Jesus fucking Christ, you can't get anywhere. The mileage is irrelevant. Literally, doesn't matter how far away how far away it is, mileage wise, it's going to take you at least 3 times as
Yeah.
long. So just plan for that. Okay. So those are the two big takeaways. Plus, there was a lot of not white people, which I like that.
Mm.
I like that diversity thing.
Yeah.
Except he was in the suburbs, so of course, mostly white people. But when you get kind of in the city part of it, it's more diverse. And I got to go to little Tokyo. That was kind of neat. So yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's good to get away sometimes, have a bit of a break, hit the reset button.
Well, yeah, especially when you live in the South, man. It's just like a culture shock.
Mm.
I mean, and the weather here, it's like the humidity's outrageous. You know, it's like I'm used to, well, somewhat used to it, but it's like fucking the humidity here is like 80% all the fucking time. You know, it's just soaking. You're soaked in sweat, right? But you go somewhere like LA, and it's just like there's no humidity at all.
Mm. Yeah, it's by the coast. Get those breezes.
All right, well, Tony, why don't you? I wanted to ask you before we kind of sign off here. What is it that you see in the future for your show with God?
That's a tough one. You know, I don't know. I think as the relationship develops, I'd like him to become a little bit more amenable. Um, but in terms of the show, you know, I don't know. I'm just going to keep doing it, and while I think it's funny. that's it. I do it in my spare time. I have like a little recording studio in my home that I record it in, and I'm just going to keep doing it while people are liking it and saying funny things about it. Yeah, that's about it really. And like I said, I just want people to just, some religious people do listen to it and they do have a bit of a laugh at it, a bit of a giggle. They enjoy it. But I just wanted, I suppose, lighten the mood of life. There's a lot of serious shit that's going on. There's a lot of people throwing accusations at each other. Like social media is like a war zone most of the time. And one of the big things for me is I just want to sort of, lighten the mood of life, put a smile on people's faces, and get them to think a little bit about dogma and religion and why it's such a poor idea.
I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. Well, you definitely put a smile on my face. I have to say, I like the format, and
Thank you.
I like the idea, and not to I like your accent. Okay, I just have to admit it's of course I'm Southern. Of course, people make fun of my accent. I'm not making fun of your accent. I just find it very refreshing. I'm not used to finding it. It does
It's
remind
it's
me. It reminds
it's
me of home.
interesting. The majority, I don't know whether you get the statistics for your show, but the majority of my listeners, I'd say probably about 95% are in America.
That's not surprising. That doesn't really surprise me because in in the well, I guess the Commonwealth nations, especially Britain, but also probably Australia, the whole idea of God being y'all have made fun of God forever. I guess
Yeah,
it's a little more taboo. I think here.
it is. Yeah,
So that's probably what it is. Oh, you're making fun of God? Ooh, that's so taboo.
yeah.
We're very yeah religious country. Unfortunately, that's probably it is one of our main problems. All right, Tony. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on and talking to me. I know you could be doing anything else there in sunny Australia. So,
No, look, my pleasure, Chris. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, hope you have a good day or evening. Speak to you soon.
all right, take care.
Cheers, buddy. Bye.
All right. Oh, are we still doing? Okay. And that was Tony from Conversation with God podcast. I want to thank him for coming on. Of course, Kavanaugh's. I don't want to get any more into that, but let's just say I'm not real happy about it, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I hope it's. I don't know. Just stay tuned, man. What the fuck are you gonna? It's almost to the point where now I'm just almost. I welcome a nuclear holocaust. To be honest with you. So I know, real cheery, right? So if you want to come check out the show, of course you can come to podunkpolymath.com, where you can find all the wonderful episodes lined up for you right there. And of course, the music is done by Dot Dot Dash. You can find their music at cdbaby.com/dot dot dash. Of course, the music is done, which I just said, and I just said it again. Excuse me, my brain is not quite with it right now. If you want to check me out on Facebook, of course, facebook.com/the Podunk Polymath. On Twitter at Podunk Polymath, strangely enough. Become part of the Patreon posse on Patreon, patreon.com/the Podunk Polymath. Of course, if you want to become part of the Patreon posse, patreon. No, Chris, what is wrong with you tonight? Go facebook.com/the Podunk Polymath Podcast Posse, all separated by periods. And of course, if you go to the sidebar there, you will see that you can follow me on Twitter, follow me on WordPress. You can check out the show on RSS feed, iTunes, Stitcher, usual places. And of course, there's a Patreon button there as well. If you want to donate via PayPal, you can do that. Which just give me money, all the money you can, because I'm a poor white man in America and I'm really oppressed. And of course, there's also recent, recent posts and recent comments as well. And so yeah, thanks again to Tony. He's still here. Hi, Tony. Thanks for coming on, Tony. And I really do encourage y'all to go check out that podcast because he initially just, and I thought it was really cool. He reached out to me. People so rarely do that because I'm not Well, I'm not that friendly, to be quite honest with you. And he reached out to me, and I was really grateful for that. And I went to listen, and it really, generally, I'll listen to somebody's podcast. I'm like, yes, because you're not my podcast, so therefore you can't be that good. Am I right? No. But I listened to his podcast, and it was funny, and he's following some good rules here. He's not making it overly long, which is always a plus. People lose their fucking, their attention span, especially nowadays. Um, and it's just, and he's got good production, I think. He's doing this by himself in his own spare time. He's scripting it out, so I think it's a great show, and I really do think that he needs to go on other shows more often so he can plug his shit. Because I feel like he's he's got a good formula going here, and I think we could use more uh, making fun of God shit without being, you know, overly serious about it. And we could use a lot more fucking, let's face it, good humor nowadays. So anyway, all right, y'all. Well, thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, y'all take it easy now. Okay.